Hey y'all, Organizing Higher, welcome or welcome back. On this channel, I share organization and productivity tips, tools, and resources. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe if you're into things like that. I mostly just document very realistically how I successfully and sometimes unsuccessfully live my life as a full-time mom with a full-time job, and doing some YouTube and coaching stuff on the side. So in my last video, I showed my setup at my desk, my office for my inbox. Definitely check that out if you haven't seen that already. In this video, I wanted to talk about another resource that I've used for quite a while in my office, but I'm actually thinking about getting rid of it because I'm not sure that it's helpful for me in the new kind of era of the world that we're in. So there's two tools that I want to show in this video. The first is my reference materials, my paper reference materials, and the second one is my paper tickler file. When it comes to my reference material, it's really nothing fancy. It's just a file drawer that's got folders in it. The folders are in alphabetical order based on, in most instances, it's based on like the subject, usually a program or some type of topic. I don't have a lot of reference material that's based on person, although some people do. So keeping reference material can be really great. Particularly there's some programs where I do the same program pretty much every single year. So I just want to have a record of what I've done the previous years. And sometimes it's things like agendas or examples of if there was some type of like a flyer that was printed, it would be the physical example of that flyer. That way I have it to reference from year to year. But what I've noticed has happened with my reference material, particularly over the years, is it's kind of become a storage center. So I am realizing that most of the reference material that I have, if not all of it, frankly, is either available online digitally or can be made available online or digitally through like scanning or something like that. So I've actually been thinking very seriously, particularly over the past year, about just not having a paper reference materials space at all, just completely getting rid of this. Let me know in the comments if you still use a paper reference materials, if you have a paper reference file, and why, or why you don't have one. The second tool is my tickler file, my paper tickler file. The tickler file was something I used very, very often pre-pandemic. I would use this for project support items. I would use this for action support items. I would use this for random reminders that I wanted to have. But I don't use this as much these days. If you don't know what a tickler file is, it's almost a way to send yourself like a note or a message in the future. So you set up 43 folders, one representing each month and then one representing each day of a month. So 31 day folders and then 12 month folders for a total of 43 folders. You're able to use this system so that every single folder essentially corresponds to a day of the year. So if I have a concert that I want to attend and the concert tickets are in my hand and I don't want to lose them, but I don't want them to be, stuck on a bulletin board somewhere taking up space, I might put them in, let's say the concert's on August 1st. I'll put them in the August folder for my tickler file. So that way when August comes and I'm preparing myself to go through things for August, I will see that that ticket is in the August folder and I'll put it in the appropriate day for August for the tickler file. It's kind of hard to explain over video. Maybe I'll do a video that talks about specifically how to set up a paper tickler file. If that's something that you're interested in, definitely let me know in the comments. But it's also something that, as I've talked about in another video, I'm kind of moving away from paper tickler file items. I just don't use paper tickler file items very much. So most of my tickler file items these days are on a calendar. I mean, when's the last time that you had tickets to a concert or to a show and they weren't digital? It's usually on your phone somewhere or they email it to you, so you don't need to actually print paper. So I'm just finding more and more these days that people are moving away from using paper for really most things. Or if something is on paper, you can take a photo of it or scan it with your phone, and then all of a sudden it's digital, and that's completely appropriate. And a lot of this, of course, has to do with your job. So if you're in a heavily paper-based job or you need a lot of signatures, they have to be wet signatures or anything like that, not everything can be digital. So it really just depends on your work and what's part of your work. Sometimes a paper tickler file makes sense, and sometimes it doesn't. I've done another video about using a digital tickler file, and I mostly put my tickler file items on my calendar instead of actually having a physical piece of paper. Usually the stuff in my tickler file would be, reminders to set meetings with someone. It would be reminders to do regular maintenance, like rotate my mattress or take my ring in for an inspection. And most of that stuff I can put on a calendar. So I just put that on my calendar. During my weekly review, I'll catch those things. I'll put those things on my to-do list. So I'll essentially transfer them from a tickler item to an active item that I'm working on. And I don't have to worry about forgetting something. So just like with my paper reference materials, I'm kind of thinking that my paper tickler file doesn't need to exist anymore. I think a large part of that is also because over the course of the past 15 months when I was working from home, no one was doing anything on paper. So we didn't ever need it. So I'm also a little bit hesitant about assuming that because I haven't needed it for the past 15 months, then that means I'm not going to need it. I've shared before that I started a new job over the course of the pandemic, so I actually don't know with 100% certainty if I'm going to need to have paper items or if I'm not going to have a lot of paper items. So I'll probably hold on to my reference material and my paper tickler file for at least another year or so before I can decide confidently whether I still need to use these tools if they're helpful for me or if I don't need to use these tools. So those are two tools that I've been using to manage my paper materials that I may or may not continue to use in the future. We'll see. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great day.